uncovering the hidden rules among classes regarding money. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 8. This is my 8th consecutive day of uploads during the month of December 2022, and that is kind of an explanation for the low production value of this video. However, I just wanted to get something out, and for today's video, the topic is going to be, as mentioned, uncovering the hidden rules about money among classes. So I found a screenshot on my phone that I just saved, probably from Instagram, that had three different, it was a picture of a piece of paper and it had three different columns. And the columns were labeled poor, middle class, and wealthy. And they had different attitudes, different thoughts about each class as regard to certain elements. So the elements were things like money, fashion, family structure, education, language, register. And I looked back to kind of reverse engineer where I got this picture and where it came from. So this picture actually came from a book called Understanding Poverty, a Framework for Understanding Poverty by Ruby Payne. And this snapshot is on uncovering the hidden rules among classes and in regard to each of these things. So what stuck out to me was the idea of money and how different classes treat money. So for the lower class, in poverty, money is treated as something to be spent. For the middle class, money is treated as something to be managed. And then for the upper class or the wealthy, money is treated as something to be invested. And that one element, if I were to take one line out of that whole snapshot, I would say that the idea is I want to make as many decisions with my money, with my time, and everything I do, and be thinking, is this leading me more towards a wealth mindset or a poverty mindset? And here's why. So I grew up very working class, in a working class family. My mom was from the Midwestern, the plains of Michigan, and her family was very working class. Her father was an oil linesman, oil and gas linesman. Her mom stayed at home and raised kids. She eventually took in foster kids for additional makeup for additional money, and was always hustling. I mean, she could make a dollar out of a dime. She really could make things stretch. She grew up, my grandmother grew up in the Depression era and really knew how to stretch every last item. So that's how my mom grew up. My dad was an immigrant, came from Korea, and very much had that immigrant mindset of working very hard. So together, combined, they worked very hard, were very frugal and thrifty, yet it was a very, I would say, working class background. My dad studied economics in college because that's all he was allowed to study by his family. So, because it would lead to a good job. And he studied business again and went into business. I grew up with that very working class mentality. My parents divorced, and as a result, money was again very, very tight. So I don't ever remember money not being tight. So money was always very tight when I was growing up. And that's definitely led to my feelings about money and how I feel and act around money. So I would like to change that, change my family tree, as Dave Ramsey says, and move from a place, obviously my tree, how I had that kind of like set up, move from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, but also realize that money isn't just to be spent. It is to be spent or managed. It is to be invested. So again, going back to how I think every single continually throughout the day, is this action bringing me towards more money or away from more money? So I'm sitting here with my child beside me. So it's really kind of bringing all of that into focus. It's also very expensive having kids. It is and it isn't expensive. So when it comes to uncovering rules about wealth, hidden rules about wealth, I would say that, I don't know if kids are a legacy. I don't know how poverty, middle class, and wealthy people would think about having kids. I know for me and my husband, it was a very thoughtful decision. It was something we talked about. But I think that I don't think you're ever fully prepared for having kids. Right? I don't know if there's any way, but I know that it's something that we thought about and considered very carefully. I've heard somebody say that kids are the new Mercedes because they're so expensive to raise, huh? Kids are a luxury. Kids are a status symbol because they're very expensive. Although I do feel like the first one is the most expensive because once you got the stuff, you got the stuff. So you might as well have more. At least that's kind of the way it feels right now. Anyway, so uncovering the hidden rules of money, money among the classes. I think it's also so important to realize the mental burden that comes with poverty, right? I've seen something about like decision fatigue, how the average person living in poverty has so many strains on them because they don't have the benefit of, in many cases, institutional support, family support, zip codes that are more poverty stricken, have fewer access to public services. So I don't think we fully understand the weight of poverty. I know I don't. All I know is that I want to be I want to use the most of my potential that I possibly can in order to be the best credit to myself and be able to help other people, right? Because if I can't take care of myself and the people I love, then I can't take care of anyone else. So that is fully what I'm thinking about at the moment. So as just kind of a wrap up, always thinking again about how each action leads me toward wealth or toward poverty. And I've also heard the saying, again, this is an Instagram quote, stack your Benjamins and act broke. That's how you build real wealth. And it's true. Money's not to be spent, money's to be invested. And that's something I want to remember because I was just this evening watching CNBC. I like to watch Jim Cramer on Mad Money. And I felt like a slog. It feels like a slog sometimes to watch those investing shows because I think, ooh, I get down on myself. Even though I have a channel dedicated to personal finance, I get down on myself for not having enough to invest. And I think that's not the point. The point is to be ready when the time comes to invest. And I've already seen, especially how things that I've learned through the personal finance communities, things like IRAs, 401ks, backdoor IRAs, 529 plans have been so helpful in my discussions with my husband and knowing kind of how to plan. So just being prepared when the time comes, when I do have money and knowing how to invest then. So, for right now, the plan is just to max out my tax advantaged investment accounts. That's really the plan number one. Let me get through that and earn more income to do that. So that's the goal number one. And then moving on to brokerage accounts and individual investments, right? That comes next. Okay. So thank you so much for watching on this, the 8th day of December, and the 8th day of consecutive uploads. So if you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I hope that you're having a wonderful Christmas season.